Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is our second video of our C++ beginner level interview question tutorial series. In previous video we discussed the basic definition of C++ language and saw some different data types that offers by C++, and we also grabbed some concept of OOP and POP languages and saw their differences. Now in this video we will continue our discussion on different interview questions. So our third question is define std. Now this std is very important in C++. So std is also known as standard, or it can be interpreted as namespace. Like we say std standard namespace. So there are two main points here. One is standard and other is namespace. The common using namespace std. So we refer as using namespace std. It right in same line. Further in this tutorial we will see an example where I will show you how to write this namespace std. So it informs the compiler to add everything under std namespace, and it calculate them in global namespace scope. This all in calculation of global namespace benefit use cout and cin without using std operator. So if we do not define using namespace std in top of our code, for every cin and cout operation we have to use this std operator before writing cin and cout. Now let us take a deep look into std and see some examples. So first we will look the need of namespace. As the same name can be given to multiple variable, function and classes in the same scope. So we can't have two function, two variable or two classes having the same name. So to overcome this situation, namespace was introduced. So let us take a look at our first program. Below in C++ program illustrate the use of namespace with the same name of function and variables. So let's take a look at this simple program that will clear your concept of namespace. So C++ program to illustrate the use of namespace with the same name of function and variable. So it has a simple C++ template. So we first define our include IOStream, which means this function can perform, or this piece of code can perform input and output operation. Then we have our using namespace std. As I told you, all of these things are written in the same line. Then we define our first namespace, which is n1, and inside of this namespace we have a variable of integer type having value 2, and then we have the function to display message for namespace n1. So this function is void fun. Inside of this we display a simple message which is this is function of n1. And second we have our second namespace, inside of which we also have a variable of integer type, and the name of variable is x and the value of variable is 5. Then we have the function to display the message for namespace, and the name of function is also fun. So basically we have two function with same name. First function, name of first function was fun, and the name of second function is also fun, fun. Then inside of this we are also displaying a message. This is fun of n2, mean it is the function of n2 namespace variable. Then we have our main driver code, which is main. So the sequence of executing in program in C++, it's only execute this main program, and along by line wise, first it will execute this line, then this line, then this line, and so on. It will go to the last line, and on its way, if it find a function, then it will terminate the main program function and go to the function which are defined in this line. For example, now we will take a look at the sequence. First it will go to this, as these are commands, so they will not affect the execution of program. This method and variable call using scope resolution operator. So at first we are displaying cout n1, and what's n1? Basically it's this n1 namespace, inside of which we have a function which is displaying this function of n1. So and NL mean it will display the next printable element in the next line. Then we have our function call. So we are using this n1 object, then scope resolution operator, then the function name, and then we are also displaying this for n2 namespace. Then we have function call, and then n2, and then we are returning it. So let's run this code and see what's the output is. So you can see first it display 2. This is the function of n1, then it displays 5. This is function of n2. So now let's take a look how this program works. In the given example, both n1 and n2 have a variable. So both have two things. One is variable, which is also known as data member, and second is callable function, which is also known as member method or member function, of the same namespace, x and fun representatively. So as you can see, both of these have same variable name, which is x, and same function name, which is fun. The namespace is used to decrease or limit the scope of any variable of the scope. So as in the above code, variable x and function method fun were limited to namespace n1 and n2. Thus their scope was not outside the n1 or n2. Scope of these x variable and function fun is local to their defined namespace, in this case for n1 and n2. Every time using the scope resolution operator, this in a variable or a function defined is not required. It can be solved with using directive. The using directive means to include the whole code written in the namespace in the closing scope. So now take a look at our second example. Below is the C++ program demonstrating the use of using directive. So we have our using namespace std, then we have our first namespace having two element. First one is this variable x having value 2, then we have our function fun, then we have this cout, the function call. The body of function include one printing message, which is this is function of n1. Then we define this using namespace n1. Then we have our driver code int main, then we just cout this x and l, which is 2, and then we just simply call our function fun. So you can see it has displayed the same message as previous, but we are now not using the scope resolution operator because of only this one line of code using namespace n1. So now let's take a look at the definition of this code or explanation of this code. In the above program, after writing the using namespace n1, there is no need to use the scope resolution for utilizing the members of n1. It can be interpreted as using copies of the code written in the namespace to the scope in which it has been written. So if using namespace n1 is written inside the main, our main function, and tries to use the member function and x in this case in the different function, it would give compile time error. So let's take a look at our third program. In the below program, C++ illustrate the using namespace inside the main function. So now we are using this namespace inside the main function. So first we have this using namespace std, then we have our first namespace n1, which having the same elements as our previous two examples. Then we use this print function, void print function. It is basically a function definition in which we are calling the other function. Then we have our main driver code, and inside this now we are defining the using namespace. As you notice, in previous code we defined the namespace outside of our main function. Here is our function and we define namespace at here outside of it. But in this example we are defining the namespace inside our main function driver code. So it will return us an error, the function void print. The error fun was not declared in this scope. Now take a look at example explanation of it. It is known that std is a namespace whose members are used in the program. So the member of std namespace are cout, cin and endl. This namespace is present in the iostream.h header file. Below is the code snippet in C++ showing the content written inside the iostream. So basically iostream.h is C++ defined header file. So let's take a look what is inside this. So inside of this we have our outstream and our iostream cin. So OS stream used for cout for displaying something on the screen to user, and iostream cin is used to take a input from the user of this program. So now when cout geek for geek is written, the compiler search for cout in the program which is kept in the std namespace. So the instruction given to the compiler that if the compiler does not find anything in the current scope, try finding it in the std namespace. It is not necessary. Now this is something to remind. It is not necessary to write the namespace. Simply use the scope resolution operator every time uses the member of std. For example, std cout, std cin, and then std endl. Now let's take some basic look at cins and cout streams and input output operation in C++. So C++ come with libraries that provide us with many ways for performing input and output. In C++, input and output are performed in form of sequence of byte, or more commonly known as streams. Our first stream is input stream. If the direction of flow of byte is from the device, like your keyboard, to the main memory, then this process is called input. On the other hand, output stream, if the direction of flow byte is opposite, mean from main memory to the device such as display screen, then this process is called output stream. So you can see some basic structure. We have our program Then we have scene, which will use keyboard or mouse. Then we have C outstream, which will use screen. So that's the basic structure of streams in C++. So I think that's all from our today's tutorial. So we will continue our discussion on C++ beginner level interview question. Till then, take care and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I will see you in my next one.